without further ado, let's jump into it. How I became a millionaire by 37. So now, guys, as I said, your age does not matter when you start. I've known people start in their 70s and this business done very well. Okay. So if you do wholesaling right, it is not a labor intensive business. It is actually a job you can do from a chair. So if you have a disability, any type of handicap, I'm here to tell you that's one of the other benefits of wholesaling because you can use your mind over your muscle. When I was younger, I used my muscles a lot more. I use them now just because I have to. So, but if you've ever been in a labor job, you understand when you get older, your back starts to break down. If you do wholesaling right, your back never breaks down because you're not doing it. So I want you to understand that when you get into it. So I actually started out when I was 33 years old. Okay. So if you go, okay, well, how do you get 37? Actually, it was I really didn't get crank until around like when I was 34. So 33, I kind of hit like I was frustrated and I made a decision. I couldn't take it anymore. So in my first year of doing it, you'll see I actually worked a full-time job and I made an income from wholesaling. And I'll show you how I made the transition and I'll walk you through the entire thing. So it's really cool. So take what you want. If you want to skip it and come back to the Q&A, I don't care. I just want to show you because a lot of people are like, I don't understand how I'm going to get there. I'm going to walk you through this. So I started in 2003. If you guys want to hear a fun fact, I used to work for Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Enterprise Leasing. So, you know, where you can be your own boss. And honestly, I went straight out of college. I did insurance sales door to door for a year and a half. I made good money with that, but I hated it. It was terrible. And then I moved over and I found this job. I sold boats for a while. So I've always been in sales. I just thought it was a good, safe job. My kind of dad told me it'd be a good fit for me. And I wound up 10 years with the company, way too long. So, and I made 6 figures at the end, but to be honest with you, I hated every minute of what I did. I mean, all we did was, I just felt like we never told the truth to people and you pushed and pushed salespeople to the brink when they would quit. And I was getting tired of the turnover. And then when I started having kids, AKA Zach, my daughter Leah, I decided I didn't want to travel because I wanted a consistent home for my kids. And that's why I started making decisions. So I discovered somebody of all places, you ready for this? On a radio ad. And they said, listen, are you tired of the rat race? Do you want to get financially free? And it just, you got to understand, guys, back then there wasn't commercial, there was nothing. So I found it on a radio station, God only does. To be brutally honest, I didn't get the best advice in the world. So I went on a journey to try to figure out how to do it. So 2003, I'm trying to figure it out. To be honest with you, I bought some rentals that honestly, they were not really good. They worked out later in life, but I learned how to buy stuff on MLS. So guys, wholesaling really has very little to do with MLS. Anybody who focuses you just on MLS, that is not where you want to start out in wholesaling because that's where everybody goes to bid up properties. And guess what? The highest bidder loses in wholesaling. End of story. So 2003, I decided I was going to make a jump. Now, 2003, I still kept my job. Why? I had 2 kids to feed. I had a wife to take care of, and I had a mortgage. So if any of you guys can relate, you know what I'm talking about, dude. I didn't know what to do. I just knew what I was doing was not working. So I had a W-2 paycheck. I had a lot of bills. I was getting hit the maximum taxes at the time, and I knew I had to make a change. I just didn't know how to go about doing it. So 2003, while I was working, okay, and guys, I'm going to be honest with you, this is the most brutal $200,000 I ever made in my life. I really struggled the first 4 to 5 months. And when I say really struggle, I just didn't know how to pull the correct profit out. So I would take a profit and I would be okay with it. And then people would kind of snicker and laugh behind my back because I didn't know what I was doing. Because when I did wholesaling, nobody really taught it. So you had to find people and try to duplicate their transactions. How did I do it? I actually went to RIAs and network. And I still to this day love RIAs because I love the human interaction. I love what we do on this. I swear, if I could just put you all in the same room, it would be through the roof, but it's challenging because you guys are all over the country. I'm in Florida. We're working on some issues to maybe have some like meetups or do something like that. But logistically, Our goal is to try to get you the best information for free so you guys can go out and be effective wholesalers. So 2003, I started out ready for the 18 whopping deals. Okay. Now, it wasn't that hard to get a wholesale deal, but like to try to get it closed and do an assignment, it was a lot of work. Because if you thought title companies were rough now, back then they didn't do a lot of assignments because there was very, very few title companies. So I had to spend a lot of time figuring out. But I went back through all my papers and notes. I even have the first address of a property. The first property I flipped was in Fort Lauderdale, downtown Los Angeles on the water. And I got it from a referral from a realtor. So don't ever underestimate the power of a realtor. Honestly, if that realtor didn't help me out with that first deal, I probably would have struggled another 6 months. It propelled my confidence and I went all in. I went crazy marketing. I did door knocking. I did door hangers. I was a big bandit sign guy. And what was the other one I did? I did small direct mail in the beginning because back then we could mail 500 or 1,000 pieces and you would get 50, 60 leads and like no problem. And I'm talking about like quality leads, but you had to take a lot of risks. So my first year doing this was a whopping 200,000. I probably netted about 140, 150 when I took my cost off, but I didn't have a lot of costs because guess what, guys? I was a single operator. Okay. So those of you who's like, oh, Rick, how many people did you have do it? My first 7 years of wholesaling, I was all by myself. And honestly, I knew how to wholesale. I just didn't know how to hire people at the time. Okay. I don't want you to do the 7 years ever by yourself. I think in 2 to 3 years, you should be so buried in leads that you have to bring in people to help you out. So people was like, when do you bring people in? You bring it when like your pipe's full, you're getting paid, you got money in the bank, and then you get help. Okay. So 2003. And so let me kind of walk you through. I'm looking at any questions you guys have on. So John T asked, how many hours you're working? I got to be honest with you. I don't even know. It was insane though. So have you ever been so consumed with something and excited about it, like you don't even like monitor the time you do it? So if you ever, like remember your kid, you got like that new toy, maybe you got it on Christmas or your birthday and you're like, you were so enamored. You open it, you go over in the corner and like 10 hours goes by. That's how I looked at my first year of wholesaling. I was so blown away with what wholesaling could do in my life. I said, oh my God, this is amazing. If I can keep doing this over and over, like I can become financially free. So my biggest requirement when I started wholesaling was I was just tired of working 12, 14 hours a day and coming home and putting my kids to bed. And then my wife was done. And it was like, I just never got any time from Monday through Saturday and I hated it. So that is year one. So honestly, Jonte, I worked a lot. And honestly, guys, you can't gauge. So keep in mind, I was doing a full-time job 6 days a week, and I was probably spending an extra 4 hours a day on wholesaling. And that was all talking to customers and marketing. And honestly, I didn't know I had no idea what I was doing. It was just working. And I'm here to emphasize to you, don't wait till you know everything in wholesaling because it's never going to come around. So you just take action and you keep learning steps as you go and you make money while you do it. So if I'm reading your guys' comments, so I don't mean to get distracted. So, okay. So year one, year two was better. Okay. I doubled my output and I netted. Okay. So the first one, I didn't do correctly on the net. This one, I netted 350,000. So I took off my marketing costs, which is about, I always did light marketing budgets between like 25 and 30,000 and I netted it out of this number. Now, 32 deals, I'm here to tell you, by yourself, it is a handful, but you're averaging like 2.5 deals a month, which to me wasn't that big of a deal. It was actually doable. The second year, I took time trying to figure out how to set up a business and how to run this. And I was just starting to drive myself a little bit nuts because remember, I did all sales appointments. I did all incoming leads. And to be honest with you, I got like really efficient at this stuff. Okay. Be honest with you, I was doing 40, 50 hours a week minimum. Okay. Plus I worked Saturday and I planned on Sunday. So I'm here to tell you guys, I'm not going to tell you I did this on like 4 or 5 hours, like every other day. It's not, if you really want to learn this business, you got to dive in it. But honestly, I've done a lot of businesses and I own different businesses outside of real estate. It's the same thing in any business you do. You get excited about it. You spend a ton of time in it and that's how you learn. So there's very few businesses where you can just buy and walk away from. And if you do, you're probably going to get killed. Someone's going to take advantage of you because that's how business works. Because I've done that before. So it's not that easy just to buy it. So 2004. 2005 was like I got this business licked. I've got it figured out. Man, I'm having a blast. At this point, I was in over my head. I knew I needed help. I tried to bring other people in, and I had a lot of pain. I got ripped off. I got deals stolen from me. I believe I encountered my first lawsuit in 2005, which is a whole nother video. I was sued by another fellow investor that I thought we were friends, but apparently we weren't. And so we got up to 45 deals. And I netted 720, 725 was my calculation when I did it. And I'm here to tell you guys, that was a challenge. It was a challenge. I'm starting to feel a little bit burnt out. So I started bringing in people and I started spending money at this point. And you're going to see the connection I have on this. So Ethan says, listen, any advice on for someone just starting? Yeah. Go to freewholesaling.com and find your why and understand if you have the conviction and you want to see it out and you really want to change your life, you got to stick out wholesaling. You can't just put your toes in the water like anything else. Okay. So 2005, it's good. I'm burning out. It's a lot of work. The real estate market back in 2005 would have been comparable on how it was in like 2018, 19, right before our pandemic hit. It was really good. So the market was good. I was getting better. And I go, okay, listen, I just want to hit $1 million. How do I hit $1 million? I didn't want to hire a bunch of people because I felt like I wasn't the best communicator at the time. And I wanted to get there like kind of on my own. And to be honest with you, it was probably a mistake at the time. There were so many good people out there that could help you out. It would have helped out wonderfully. So 2006, notice I increased by 5 deals and I went up to 850 grand. And I got a story because 2006, when I really woke up and figured out, okay, there's more to wholesaling than just doing the max amount of deals. And I'm going to walk you through how I did that because it's not always about quantity, guys. Because for almost 4 years, I thought quantity was the answer for absolutely everything, and it's not. So 850, you think I'd probably make a little bit more money at this time. So at this time, I did have a part-time VA, and the VA, I'm not going to say anymore. I recruited my wife to come over and leave her teaching job to help me in Dispo because it came, I just didn't have time to sell the deals and I was giving them away. So, but she worked for free, so I don't really count her towards my overhead. So basically I'm at 1.2 employees because the VA, at the time they were $3 an hour. So 2007, guys, 2007 was the peak of the market before the meltdown happened. The big, so if you're not familiar, way back when, what was it, 10, 12 years ago, there was a mortgage bubble. So the banks were giving mortgages to everyone. It wound up being disastrous. Everyone defaulted on the loans, and you're going to see where the party ended real quick here. So 2007, I did 46 deals. I did less deals. I had basically some core employees, and I made $1,056,000. So, guys, it took me about 3.5 years to really get there. You call it 4. Keep in mind, the first year I had another job while doing that, although I'm not proud of it, but I did make an extra $95,000 with it, but it was all on a W-2 paycheck. So it took me 3.5, 4 years to get to that first $1 million. I'm going to be honest with you. I probably took me 3 years too long, and I didn't have any type of navigation. I have anything to bounce off anybody, and I still did it. And honestly, I fought through a lawsuit. I probably went through 6 or 7 employees while I did this. I fired good people. I hired bad people. I made every mistake you could humanly possibly. So I'm not looking for you to duplicate what I do. Like, I just want to kind of give you a barometer in what's happening. Now, you guys all know what happens next, right? 2008 hits. I got to tell you, the carpet got pulled out from under me because there was very few buyers because the prices were so high for real estate, and it took buyers like a year and a half to actually it took sellers a year and a half to 2 years to accept that their properties weren't worth $1 million anymore. Does it sound familiar, guys? I'm here to tell you, we are going kind of through that exact scenario right now. Prices are rolling back, inventory's creeping up, and cash buyers are like, okay, I need a really good deal. So this is how it's relatable, okay? The problem is I got stuck with one way of doing business, and it kind of backfired on me. So from 2008 on, for about 6 months, I struggled to sell really anything. I'm going to be honest with you. I was frustrated, and I was selling deals. I was normally making $30,000, $40,000. I was taking $5,000 and $6,000 assignments. Now, the good news is I survived, but I buried my ego and took what I did to have to pay my bills because the one thing I didn't do right during this, and I want you guys to understand this, it's not always how much you make, it's how much you keep at the end of the day. And I just kind of bought whatever I want. I had a lot of money coming in. I made ridiculous commitments. I bought a house out by the beach, a vacation home. I bought like really nice cars. Stupid. Like, honestly, I really regret it. It set me way back. And I'm here to tell you, not only do you have to learn how to make the $1 million, but more importantly, you got to learn how to keep it and how to work through it. And I've worked my lessons through. I'm at 20 years now. And honestly, I'm at the point where I get it. Sometimes I think it takes me longer to grasp concepts, but once I get it, like I'm locked in. But remember, I started at 33. So if any of you guys out there in your teens or your 20s, you have such a head start on a guy like me, it is like you can do amazing things. So if you're starting out before 33, you're so far ahead of me, you are going to do better than I am. I am so confident. The one thing I can tell you is I don't care how much money you make. At the end of the day, it's how much you keep. Now, I'm not one of those guys where I tell you to live under a rock because tomorrow's not guaranteed, but you can't be going out and buying things that you know that you can afford now, but you don't know what a rainy day is for tomorrow. So that's my story. I want you to understand probably the biggest takeaway from wholesaling that I've learned really in the last 20 years is quality versus quantity. The ability to make more per deal with less effort is the skill set you gain in wholesaling each year you go by. So right now, my average wholesale deal is close to $50,000 right now. Okay. I don't have California prices. I'm not flipping $1 million homes. Okay. I don't do any rehab. Some of them I wholesale. I'll be brutally honest with you, but it's a very, very quick transaction, and I have the funds to set that up. You were going to do the same when you get that ability too. In the beginning, that first 4 years, 90% of what I did was 100% on wholesaling and assignments because I had no money. I had no way to fund them, and hard money was brutal. I tried it a few times, and I didn't make a lot of money. So I love quality over quantity. Anybody who preaches to you about the amount of deals they do, ignore it. It's regardless. It's done as an ego thing, and they're typically going to try to sell you something. I'd rather you do one deal, make 100 grand, than do 30 deals that made you 2 grand. It's just simple math. How hard do you have to work when you do it? And you got to understand it. That was probably my biggest takeaway. So the things I learned when I first became a millionaire, I stopped focusing on quantity and quality rules. I can tell you, hands down, that is probably the biggest single takeaway that I can share with you in my journey. And it's the one thing that probably took me about 12 years to completely understand. So I stopped focusing on quantity, quality. Okay. Focus on the net, not the gross. What do I mean by that? Well, there's a huge trend going on in real estate right now in the coaching community that basically says, I did $5 million in real estate. Okay, dude, when people talk like that, disregard it because they're doing it to try to catch your eye and impress you, okay? It's like giving you a math problem without giving you all the data, okay? So do you know how many companies right now make billions of dollars and they lose money? A lot, okay? So if they go, listen, I did $3 billion in sales, you're amazing. You're not, because if you had $5 billion in expenses, you're losing your ass. Sorry. That's just the truth. So whenever a influencer comes out and goes, I did $10 million in sales. Okay. Did you spend 11 million to get it? That's my question. So whenever you nail someone and try to find out what they make in a net, if someone talks in net numbers, I'll have a conversation with them all day. If you just want to tell me what your sales are, it's regardless. Did you know a majority of companies lose money? 95% of them go out of business. When people just share their sales numbers, don't be fooled. Okay. My favorite part is people go, oh, I raised, somebody went on the internet recently and says, I raised $50 million. It's not your money. I don't care. I'm impressed that you can raise that kind of money, but the question is, what can you do with that kind of money? And that's what people have to understand when it comes to real estate. So focus on the net. Anyone who just talks about their sales number, be very, very wary. There's usually a sales pitch coming right behind it. That's my 20 years experience. I'm telling you, test it out, guys. If someone tells you, oh, I just made him the best part is when they show like a $500,000 check, but 480 goes to pay back the loan on it. It's great. Your win's 20 grand. That is awesome. That's what you need to celebrate. But so much fakeness out there drives me nuts. Okay. Here's the one thing I've learned. Wholesaling is my foundation to my success. I never forget it. I will never change my outlook on wholesaling. And there's a big crowd out there who wants to tell you wholesaling's bad. Everybody does it wrong. Dude, I have thousands of you guys who have shared testimonials I've never even asked for you. And you go, man, it's incredible. It's changed my life. So once again, if someone's spinning you a negative on wholesaling, and wholesaling is not for everyone, don't get me wrong. Watch out. You have a sales pitch coming behind it. Okay. I got a special course. It'll teach you a different technique. I have a course where we can replace this contract with that one. Guys, it's all games. Okay. Wholesaling is a great foundation. You're going to find most people that got really good at real estate, but they started out wholesaling and then they knock it down the road. It's ridiculous. Give tribute to what got you where you are. Without wholesaling, honestly, I would be a different man today. And I would still be an honorable, good father, but I'm just telling you, it changed the trajectory of my life in such an extreme way. And if I didn't do it, I would have struggled. It would have probably taken me 15 years to even slightly get the success I did at year 4. Okay. Here's a key one, guys. Never stop marketing. The only time I ever had troubles in my first 3 and 4 years is when I stopped marketing. So here's how it goes. We get all our lists. We get our marketing channels ready. We deploy them. Calls come in. We go out and visit people, start writing offers, start inspecting properties, get down to it. Then we find cash buyers. Guess what I forgot to do? I forgot to do the marketing every time. And it got to the point I sat down on a New Year's resolution. I came up with a marketing budget schedule and I go, I'm holding to this no matter what happens. I actually handed it to my wife and she held me accountable for it. I hated every minute of it. But once again, that put me to where we always had opportunity. So if you're a single operator, which a lot of you are, understanding you have to keep marketing even during the worst of times, because without marketing, you're dead. The downside of wholesaling is we don't get a lot of repeat customers. So we always have to be going out there chasing people and finding deals. That is the thing I hate about wholesaling, but it's never, very rarely do I get someone that comes, oh, I sold you this house. I've had one person sell me 7 houses only because I knew their entire life was a train wreck. And I set it up at the beginning. I'm going to buy all 7 of your houses. And I built such rapport with them. Now it took a 5-year process and I bought them all. Those are repeat customers. But for the most part, most people are one and done on wholesales because most of them should never own a property again. But they're not all like that. Okay. So never stop marketing. This is the key one I talked to you earlier about. All this money you guys are earning in wholesaling, it's what we call earned income. It means you earned your butt off to get it. Okay. You have to find a way to take that as much as that earned income and turn it into passive income. I don't care if it's real estate, stocks, bonds, digital assets, whatever you choose. You're never going to be perfect on it. I've gotten my butt kicked on a lot of this stuff. I only teach you what I'm really good at. Okay. So understanding, me and Zach never went in, taught anyone how to do digital assets or anything like that, because I'm just like you guys. Actually, I'm looking for leadership from people that have done it before. Most of that stuff is speculative other than real estate. I own a lot of real estate and I enjoy it. I particularly like the commercial aspect of owning things. And here's how I look at real estate. When I buy real estate, other than personal use for the family, I look to own it forever. Like I don't have an exit strategy. It's in my will. Like that's my legacy. That's what I want to pass down. Obviously helping as many as you guys. So guys, if you go out there and bust your butt for this, don't do what I did my first 4 years and spend it all. Okay. That first year, that second year, that third year in wholesaling, that will be the most important money in your life because that's the money that will grow and truly set you up for whatever you want. In wholesaling, we never talk about retirement because I really love what I do. I enjoy it. So I'm probably going to chase deals till the day I die. I just enjoy it. I don't worry about retirement. Retirement shuts your brain down. It's really rough on people. My father's 87 and he still works to this day. And I want him to because it keeps him active and it keeps him stimulated. So we have to do the same. We have to stay active. We have to keep going. Okay. So here is the key tips I've learned once since first becoming a millionaire. And I don't forget this. Okay. You always have to be learning. Me just talking to you guys, I learn a lot from you guys. Okay. Likewise, I know you guys learn a lot, but like honestly, sometimes I learn so much because I've been confined to the southeast part of the United States and I love talking to people in California, Utah, Texas, and I learn so much when I do it. So you always have to be opening. The minute you are closed-minded, life's going to get really, really short. And that's just not business and real estate. Okay? Guys, how many times I tell you this? You have to lose your ego ASAP. Your ego will be the one thing that will kill you in wholesaling. Okay? I see guys all the time when their ego gets stuck. It's brutal. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. It is a hard pill to swallow. Okay? We all think we're right all the time. And I'm just here to tell you, it's the minute I decided to let my ego go, I could open up to people's advice. It doesn't mean you always get good advice. You're always going to get bad advice out there. But you could at least let information in and make a decision on how you want to move forward. Listening to someone, the only thing you're going to lose is time. And I don't want to give up my time ever, but I will listen for an opportunity that's going to make me money or help me grow my business. Okay. This ego thing, I can't tell you. I struggled, honestly, my first 10 years. I thought I was the greatest thing since sliced bread. When the market correction happened, you want to talk about being humbled? I was humbled. Okay. And I'm here to tell you, if you're starting right now and you're just barely paying your rent, you need to be that same person when you got $1 million in the bank. Okay. And I don't say this to scare you. Like $1 million, it's not even a lot of money anymore. Considering 20 years ago, $1 million seemed like a lot. Today, $1 million is a whole lot less in regards to inflation. But regardless, it is still a venture you want to get to. Okay, here's the next one. Paying a coach or a consultant does not guarantee your success. It's you. So many people think, I'm going to hire this person, that it sounds perfect for what they want to do. The problem is if the pitch is too perfect, it's been, what's the word? It's been manipulated to the point where it's supposed to sing to you because it's going to solve every one of your problems. And if you buy it, all your problems are solved. Okay. If the message sounds too good to be true, 9 times out of 10 it is. If someone goes, hey, listen, are you tired of wholesaling? Are you tired of being like every other investor and getting beat up? I have a much easier way to do it. And you just pay full price for the property and you'll still make the same amount of money. Now, in theory, that sounds perfect. Awesome. The reality on that, I don't think any of that's true. Some of it's true, but you're going to have to put that same concerted effort to do that as you are wholesaling. So you might as well learn the core foundation first. Here's what I've experienced. People that try to skip wholesaling, like I like it, but I don't want to compete and do all that. I don't want to do cold calling. I don't want to knock on doors. I don't want to mail. And then they try something else first. Most of the time they fail because you're avoiding the task that is most painful, which is learning the core of wholesaling. The cool thing about wholesaling is you learn how to talk to people. You talk to sellers. Obviously, you talk to buyers. You talk to title companies. You talk to lawyers. You talk to everybody. You talk to realtors. And you're going to have to do that in all areas of real estate investing. So you might as well take the one that minimizes your risk, maximizes your return, and wholesaling is 100% it. So whenever I see somebody who has a pitch, I have a way around wholesaling. No, you don't. You got a course to sell. Just tell me what the course is and I'll let you know if I'm in. Oh, I have to do a discovery call? Let me guess. There's going to be a salesman on the other side. Listen, I'm okay with hiring consultants and stuff. My theory, and I know Zach agrees along with me, is learn wholesaling as a foundational start to your real estate investing. Put the money in your bank. My suggestion is get to 100 grand and then make decisions which way you want to spend your money. Okay. Or you can go straight to $1 million like I did, drive yourself a little bit nuts. But I don't want you to take 4 years to get there. A lot of you can get there in 2 or 3 years. Okay. Let's see what else. Gross sales is a smokescreen. Beware. Someone tells you I sold $10 million in real estate. It means nothing. What did you net? What did you put on your tax return and when it was all said and done? That's all that counts, guys. So if I tell you I did $500,000 in real estate fees this month, awesome. How much did you spend to get that? How much did you spend to get that? Okay, like be honest. If you spend 100 grand, that's fine. You still made 400. But all of a sudden, it's like crickets every time you ask. Well, you know, we didn't really. You spent something. Nobody makes 500 grand where people just pour in your door. It doesn't work that way in wholesaling. Okay, wholesalers do not need an office. I'm going to repeat. If you're starting out wholesaling, you do not need an office. Sorry, argue. I've had 5 of them. I didn't need it. So the one I had, I did have 12 employees at one point. I tried the Mac Daddy deal, and here's what I learned. 4 years of scaling real estate hardcore. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of transactions. I had no more freedom of time. I was chained behind a desk. I constantly had to do it. And then I had to keep hiring like general sales managers. You talk about COOs, CFOs, and you have to even ramp up your operations higher to cover those costs. So when you grow an operation and you scale it, I mean, truly sales staff, the whole thing. And I'm not knocking it. Like, I think it's amazing when people do it. Here's the secret. I made less money than when I worked by myself and a few employees, because you typically take on a partner, you start, then you got to have a general manager, you got to have a sales manager, you have to have a transaction coordinator. And by the time it said you could do $4 or $5 million in sales, and maybe have like a $1.5 to $2 million profit. And by the time you split it with all the partners and the bonuses, guess what? My 1.056 million blew it all away. Okay. So I'm no longer to a point where I have to hit a certain number. I know exactly what my company is going to make. And I've done this for a long time and I know how to adapt and make it. To me, it's not about how much I make. It's number one, how much I keep and how much free time if I want to go out, go fishing, can I go out and go fishing? And honestly, in the first 5 years, it wasn't even an option, guys. Not even close. So if you've ever had young children and you've like worked your butt off, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. So honestly, this is a monster takeaway. You ready? I stopped trying to look wealthy and I decided to become wealthy. Okay. Now, I didn't figure this out till year 3.5, 4. Okay. I did it all wrong in the beginning, guys. I spent it all. So if you take anything away from this, I want you to understand, like, I'm human just like everybody else, but you have to not only change your thinking about real estate, you have to change your thinking about how this world operates. Everything out there most of the stuff out there is trying to fulfill your needs. That's how marketing works. But the problem is you have to have short-term pain for long-term pleasure. And we do it opposite in society. So I want you to read this line again. I stopped trying to look wealthy and I decided to become wealthy. If you can write that on your bathroom mirror, on your wall, if you convince your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your kids, once they understand that, and I taught that, Zach, at an early age because I made a mistake. I taught my daughter, I taught my wife, and we went through some painful lessons is, what do I mean by looking wealthy? When you lease like a high-end Mercedes and it looks really cool and you're paying $950 a month and you're basically renting the car, who are you impressing? You're not impressing me. Oh, you're going to impress the Joneses next door. I get it. Okay. Guys, I don't own a mortgage on like the personal houses I own. Like I remember when I paid off my mortgage, I'm like, oh my God, this is the ultimate freedom. And I'm just here to tell you, when you decide to become wealthy, no one's going to see it at first. You actually have to build the house from inside out. Okay. Everybody looks at like your house, your car. Don't ever judge a person by the car they drive or the house they own, because the smart ones live well below their means. And to be honest, I've lived well out of my means more times than I care to share. And I've just stopped that bad habit. One day you got to go, okay, I can't do it anymore. Don't kick yourself enjoy what you have and go, listen, if it does not make a better financial future for me, I don't want to do this. Now, guys, I'm not telling you not to go on vacation. I'm not telling you to like make your kids starve. I'm just telling you, do you really need that Mercedes? Could you go buy a Honda Accord? Honda Accord's nice. I have a Honda Accord. I like it. Okay. If you shouldn't, listen, if you can't afford the car or you're struggling with the monthly payments, you're probably buying too much of a car. Go buy a used car. Like, you've got to make stuff work. I know you're going to get some crap from your neighbors, but honestly, you better start figuring out that fight now, because if you keeping up with the Jones, you're never going to get ahead. And when you make your money wholesaling, you're going to spend most of your time trying to look wealthy. Honestly, a 2 to 3 year sacrifice, you don't have to look wealthy and you live well below your means, you will become very wealthy quick. Wealth is a measurement between how much money you make and how little you spend. The wider that gap, the wealthier you are, the more room you have. Okay. Now, I will tell you this, in wholesaling, I'm a big fan of having a 3 to 6 month cushion for bills, because we don't get a paycheck on a weekly basis. So once you get off that crack of a paycheck, you know what I'm talking about, you have to have a buffer. Now, if you're a little more conservative, you go 6 to 9 months. Don't go past 12 months, because you got to make that money work for you. Guys, I'm telling you, take this one. Stop trying to look wealthy and decide to become wealthy. It will change your outlook on life. Okay. And then here's a big one. At some point, you have to sit down and just become accountable to yourself. I should say yourself. It says myself. Oh, well. What do I mean by that? You know for a fact, if you sit there and tell yourself lies and it doesn't come true, it's what breaks you down as a person. Forget what other people think about you and all that. That's a whole nother conversation. You know, if you make a commitment to yourself and you break it, like say, listen, I'm taking my daughter to this play on Saturday at 4 p.m. You committed to her, you've publicly committed, and then you come up with some lame excuse. Oh, I got to work. There's nothing more important than your family. And then you got to look at yourself in the mirror and go, I just broke a promise to the person, one of the people I love the most in my life. You got to do the same level in wholesaling. Okay. If you committed to go, okay, I'm going in full and I'm never going to stop marketing. You stop marketing, you're only lying to yourself. So the first thing to become accountable is make sure you're telling yourself the truth. And the next thing is go, okay, I screwed up. This is how I'm going to fix it. And here's how I'm going to prevent it from happening again. Once you have this conversation with yourself, no one's ever going to hold you higher accountability than yourself. Now, if you need to get an accountability partner and get your butt kicked, hop on. I'll kick your butt and kick it all the way. But you got to teach yourself to hold yourself accountable, because you have more conversations with yourself than anybody else out there. Okay? And then last but not least, you guys, life's too short. You got to have fun. Like, Rick, how do I have fun wholesaling? Dude, just have fun. Get people to smile, get people to laugh. People that are extremely difficult outside of sellers, move on with your life. And some sellers, there's not enough money in the world to deal with them. Like, there's some problems you just can't deal with in wholesaling. Remember, you're a part-time psychologist. You're sometimes a cop. You're definitely a welfare worker. And a lot of times you're a psychiatrist with these people. Because every time I go, you have got to be kidding me. My favorite thing in the world is sit down with my salespeople, and they tell me the stories going on. I go, you got to be kidding me. And ask them all the time. I go, can I get in the car? Can I go meet this person? They go, watch it. She has like multiple personalities. So by the way, I've dealt with so many people with multiple personalities. Not that I'm an expert on it, but I understand how they think. It's crazy. I didn't even think it existed until I met people. And like we knew the day we had to meet with them, talk to them. We even talked to their family members and the title company to make sure we weren't going to have an issue. So, guys, that is it. Let me get off of here.